you'll recall, back in January, February, City Council considered a grant application that was presented by Mr. Holman, doing the Nature Conservancy, and the relationship they had with Camp Ripley, through various federal and state funds. Through many conversations, we ended up adopting a resolution authorizing the submission of a grant application for what is known as the Baxter Township Community Trail Grant. At the May 2nd board, last week, the Sylvan Township Board discussed the project and requested if the project could be expanded along the west end to extend their portion of the trail north along the county road, or the county line up to Mapleton Road. The board indicated if the project were to be extended, they would take financial responsibility for the trail as the lead applicant and physical agent for the grant application. The city must agree to include the additional trail segment in the application. We've set time aside to obtain an update from Mr. Holman in regards to his efforts on the application and to discuss the township's request. At the conclusion of the work session, we're just looking for a consensus from the council whether or not we are to include the additional request in the application. If the answer is yes, we'll make sure that the terms of the responsibility for the portion of the added trail will be included in the grant agreement. That needs to be drafted or executed if the funds are awarded. So with that, there are not any questions. I do have a copy of the map showing that trail extending from the township or the county line here up to Mapleton Road, following the trail outlined in the Southwest Baxter study, to give you a visual of the requested extension of the western edge. If there are no questions of council, I'll turn it over to Mr. Holman.
Your Honor, Council, thank you again for the opportunity. I'm, I guess, acting as the liaison of the township. I thought there might be representatives here today, but I think I'm it. So, what the city has approved in the grant is option A, basically to build a trail all the way down to Mississippi Overlook Park, acquire lands along the whole trail corridor, and then to build in Sylvan Township their section of the trail as well. That would kind of be their job, but it's within the scope of Baxter's grant application. The ink was barely dry of the city's really difficult discussion about capacity and trail maintenance and things like that. And township officials approached me and said the kind of practical, pragmatic piece is they didn't want, is it possible their trail, would appear as going trail to nowhere. And they didn't want to end just in the city's property where it's undeveloped and forested, but could the city consider adding to the grant that west leg that's in the city's plan, but it wasn't in the scope. Remember, we talked about what scope we could cover, the city could cover. And so the first step was, township, are you willing to maybe do the maintenance for that in perpetuity? So they had to discuss that, and that's what happened on May 2nd. The township board met, they discussed and looked at the costs for maintaining that trail if Baxter chose to extend grant and include it, that they could offer to take care of it forever. And they decided that they would do it and offer that to the city, hoping to entice the city to consider adding this segment. This is actually part of option D in that original site plan to the grant app. So that's what we're here tonight to do, or I'm representing them to do tonight, is to have the city consider adding that north-south segment with the understanding that Sylvan Township is willing to maintain, and they have a motion to that effect. And so that's what that letter is kind of referencing. Their action was May 2nd, so their board has not approved the minutes from that action, so it isn't official until the next board meeting, but just because this is your meeting schedule, it seemed relevant and timely to bring it here. My job as the coordinator for the Camp Ripley Central Landscape Partnership and helping the local governments do this this grant is to get it submitted to DNR by the 30th of May. So we've got a few days left, but I'd like to leave with an idea of, am I sticking with the original city-approved grant application, or is the city willing to add this in? The fact sheet, or the project brief, did the council get that in their packet, the whole thing? The project brief builds in the numbers for this, so it is updated to reflect what these costs would be, and it's still just under $5 million total for the grant. So that's kind of what I have. That's where the conversation would tip to you all, with the sincere hope from the township that you would consider an addition. As I told them, I said, I'm not requesting anything. I'm the writer of the grant. I just need to do what local governments ask me to do. So I'm not here, pushing or persuading so much as just carrying their message forward, because there isn't a person here representing that today. So, thank you. I can answer any questions.
Council questions?
Mr. Holman, just wanted to double check since you came through the effort of being here, just to confirm what it looks like is there's no additional financial exposure to the city of Baxter based on this, or is there anything we should be concerned about beyond what I can see in the documentation?
To the best of my visibility, is just a small addition to what the main work and dollars that the city is investing, or if the grant is approved, is the Mount Park extension. So this is a smaller piece of that. So in my mind, it's negligible in the scope of the whole project. But that's one person's opinion.
Grant management effectively for the.
Staff may have input on that, but it isn't a significant dollar amount, and how the construction would be arranged is yet to be determined.
Fair enough, thank you.
But they would be footing the bill for the asphalt, maintaining of the asphalt, seal coating, all that good stuff forever.
Well, in theory, the grant is paying for all of that. So what they are saying is that once built, they'll take care of the crack sealing and the mowing and the work. It probably wouldn't be, in terms of their conversation, they view Baxter's trail management as the Cadillac. DNR State Trail Management, not quite like Baxter's, and that theirs would be somewhere in that realm. Mowing twice a year, sweeping, crack sealing as the years progress. So that was how they calculated their estimated costs for what trail maintenance was. So the bituminous for that and the rest of the Sylvan Township piece would be part of the grant. The detail that only engineering can know is, how the city chooses to work with the township as a sub-award or part of the project or cooperative agreements, and there are all kinds of tools to work together on projects, and that's up to staff to determine.
I want to ask you a question about that, because and I don't have this stuff in front of me, I just was trying to look it up in my email real quick, but each of the segments had a cost to the city.
Correct.
So this has a cost to, you just said the grant would cover the cost, but there's got to be a cost right off the bat to Sylvan Township, right? To the tune of, what's our segment cost that's going to cost the city tentatively? A couple, 250,000, was it? I don't recall.
I don't have it in front of me.
In the context, there's ineligible expenditures that will be responsible, and in the conversations was adamant that the city council was indicating that the trail past the entrance to the Mont Park was not of interest at this time. That if they were to do it, that the financial responsibility for cost overruns and things like that needed to be covered in that. The letter says it's the financial maintenance, but we need to circle back with them and tell them that that's going to include cost overruns. And I just want, well, I'm not talking about cost overrun, I'm just talking right off the gate. Each segment had a cost to when you proposed it to the city of Baxter, correct?
Correct.
Am I?
Ineligible expenses.
Right, okay, so what is that expense for this segment here? And you just stated that Sylvan Township is under the impression, or that at least they're presenting that the grant's gonna cover the entire cost of construction. And that's where I've indicated in the staff report is that what's been communicated has been is that any cost related to any cost overruns or cost non-eligible
Okay.
would be their responsibility.
Okay.
That needs to be referenced back to.
I did, and I saw that, but the way you phrase it is, it sounds like Sylvan Township is operating under the presumption there's no cost up front because the grant's gonna cover their entire trail segment.
Yes,
Is that,
great question, and Councilmember Mayor. The only answer I have for that is that the detail of how you negotiate that with the township has not been created yet, so I don't know how you say that, but that's the intent.
There's
Any overruns, any change orders, those things for the pieces that the township is responsible for are their costs. That is articulated in the original motion, or in the original approval. So that might be, just Mr. Chair, or Mr. Your Honor, and Council, that might be another kind of administrative meeting, between staffs to make sure that we've got language that does what you, or safeguards what you call it out.
We've agreed to submit the application jointly in that context, us being the lead because we have the administration capabilities where the township does not. We have yet to even enter into an agreement into how to do that management and things like this. That nature, that this portion of this will be included into those negotiations to make sure that the council's initial intent of having no expenditure related to this segment, if it's included, or the township segment, that we are not held financially liable.
Your Honor and Council, if I may, one last thing that's an important part of that project brief update that you don't have, but I can certainly get you copies or Brad.
I can provide it.
One important piece is the timing, because this federal money requires NEPA and SHPO and potential tribal consultation elements in it. And so we won't know that. So this agreement, why do it until we know if it's awarded? It's kind of, we gotta wait on and see if it's worth the energy. But those environmental and cultural review elements won't kick in until notice is given in January of 2025. It's very likely it will take all summer and fall to get through those processes. And so it's very likely that this would not be a construction project until 2026. And we were originally thinking this would be a 2025 project. The original project brief did say that. But the most recent one that I submitted, because of those process requirements, will extend that. So there'll be even more time to kind of negotiate with Sylvan Township.
is there an average lifespan of a trail before it needs to be repaved?
25 to 30 years.
Thank you, sir.
Depends on how often I get to ride it.
Well, I think there's probably more to it than just mowing, like you said, so I just want to make sure.
Boom.
Right up to that.
I didn't say that. I think, at the end of the day, before, again, the ink is dried, we need to have all those things covered in those agreements, Brad, and staff is well aware of that. And make sure that there's no doubt in anybody's mind as we go at the end of this. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.